Classic build-up. It's not Christmas anymore. It's the first day right after Christmas. This is like the silent, weird time between like Christmas and New Year. It's like nothing is happening. I'm not even heading over to the studio today. I don't need to construct it. There is no business stuff I could even take care of. Making music, yes, possible, but I promised Vanessa to spend some quality time with her here alone at home. Nothing else possible. Full lockdown in Germany. It's getting worse every day, basically. I even had to cut my own hair today. It looks okay as long as I don't turn my head. Like from the sides and from behind, it's horrible. But anyway, so we'll do just something quick and fun we haven't done in a while. I've selected a couple of songs that you guys submitted to me, and we'll listen to them. We got some really amazing songs this time you definitely shouldn't miss. Let's just get started with the very first one by LVSSR. Okay. It's very modern to leave out the wolves? I don't know. You know what I mean, like A, O, E, that kind of stuff. But then you always have to guess. And I think it's so overdone. Anyways, let's listen to this track. Good techno, a little melodic techno vibe going on, but mostly techno. Okay. Like, simple formula. I like it. Keep it simple, especially when you're starting out making music. A sustained bass, like a groove on top with like the main sound, if you want to call it a main sound. Then a loop with like drums in the background. I think that's enough to make a song. I think the idea for a techno song is good. The execution could be a little better, because especially with techno, it's musically speaking so boring that it has to be technical a lot more. So it needs to be more precise. It needs to hit harder. The bass needs to be EQ'd and sidechained in the proper way. So I think that's where you could try and improve a little more. But in general, a good song, definitely playable in a club. Next up, by Beat Heat. Yeah, that's also really modern, like flipping letters. Beat Head with Feeling. Chords, break, bass, filtered. Okay. Sounds good, sounds modern. I love the idea. It doesn't sound as everything else does sound at the moment. It's very jumpy, groovy, a lot of air in the mix. It's not like cluttered. It's like a lot of stop and go, kind of call and response, but not in the typical way. So I actually really like the general idea. Again, here the execution could be a little better, like the mixing and like defining the elements a little more in their pocket within the mix. But cool, groovy kind of song. The vocals, yeah, I think are enough for this kind of style. Next up by, yeah, today we got all of the cliche kind of names. Fast with like an A with the dots. Anyways, Beyond Words. Okay. Ooh. First thought like strange, very strange vocals. But it has a vibe. Like, this is one of these songs where also here the execution isn't there yet, but there's like a certain vibe to it. It doesn't sound like everything else, very chill. It has like a certain something which is usually the hardest to accomplish. So I would work a little more on this idea. The arrangement is a little too loopy still. It needs, even if it's very chilled, a little more contrast and ups and downs. But in general, yeah, it has this flow and vibe. It's hard to describe, but that's already like one of the biggest points you need to make sure you got in your song whenever you're working on something. Another one with that, waltz with that, yeah, it's QVN. You see, now I have to guess. QVNTR. I don't know. Come True featuring Vio. Yeah. Okay, here I see like the biggest problem is definitely the conflict between the instrumental and the vocals. The instrumental is like classic house, organ, bass, drums. The drum loop is alright, the organ bass sound is alright. It's a little bit boring, a little overdone, but it's alright. The vocals on top, they don't really work. They're very sustained and from the vibe entirely different. I would expect more like either like old school diva defected kind of vocals on top to make it really housey, or something modern going more into a Calvin Harris kind of direction that could work. But here it's like the vocal doesn't work on top of the drop. I could see it actually work in the break with like sustained chords, and then just filter it up, chop up the vocal, make it shorter, filter it up and up and up and up, and then just drop it to kick, organ, bass, and then later introduce some drums. I don't think the vocals are necessary on the drop, but that's just my 2 cents. Let's pick the next one, Steve Mandic with what's wrong with me today? Magnetic Touch. Good, solid techno, not a whole lot happening, but that's what techno sometimes needs to be like. No, it's good. I mean, could work in a club, should actually work in a club. If you listen to this really loud, it should actually work. I just think nowadays you need to, or if you want to make techno, it needs to be either way more old school, or you do more like the modern approach to techno and have like a lot more weird sounds popping in and out, like really ear candy spread throughout the song to make it stand out. The vocals are cool, alright, having like magnetic touch in there every once in a while makes it more memorable. Supported by Jesus. Yeah, that's the most important. Next up, Excel. Psycho Forever. What's wrong with the names today? Classic build up. Don't get me wrong. If someone would have sent that to me 1 or 2 years ago, I would have said like solid, like, but now it just sounds so cliche. It sounds so, I've heard this kind of song, I have the feeling already a million times. I've heard these chopped vocals already, the kind of future bass chord steps. I've heard it, like, and then again, it's not executed well enough. Like if you make something that a lot of people already heard, it needs to stand out by the quality. It's easier, especially as a beginner, to make something that stands out due to its creativity. Next up, by DJ Lighty Knight. Again here, not bad, but I've heard it so many times. It's a classic approach, drum loop on the drop, chopped vocals, pitched up, pitched down. and a very classic bass. The thing is, it's not bad. If this would have been the first one of the style I would have ever heard like 4 or 5 years ago, I would have said like, really good, release it. It's interesting, it's new and fresh. So that's it. Those are the tracks for today's Track Submit edition. If you think these songs are great, I'll link all of them down below. You can listen to them in full, give the people personal feedback on SoundCloud, write them, or just leave it in the comments. And if you think your song is a lot better than these, then please submit it to our Track Submit form. It will also be linked down below, and you'll have a chance to be featured here on this channel, get some feedback. And additionally, starting with the beginning of next year, which is just in 4 days, we will also include prizes. We have a partner, we teamed up, they're sponsoring the segment within my vlog, and we'll have a budget for prizes, plugins, cash, and also the possibility to release your songs and get featured on SoundCloud, Spotify, like all of that coming up really soon. I'll explain more once everything is set in stone. So don't forget to tune in for the next episode coming up, of course, tomorrow, then 100% back in the studio.